Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the continuation of our stay-at-home series. My name is Michelle Parinello, and I'm the Director of Client Services here at Alternative Solutions. Helping me present today is Johnny Waddell. Johnny is one of our solutions architects as well as our lead developer. Today, Johnny and I will introduce you to Salesforce Maps and show within our demo Salesforce org the COVID-19 map layer and the available actions. Johnny will walk us through an example of how others are using Salesforce Maps in their industry during the pandemic. And I want to mention that we aren't doing this demo today to sell you Salesforce or Salesforce Maps. Our intention is to simply introduce you to how we've helped our clients use maps in the past, as well as how to use the COVID-19 map layer, which Salesforce is giving away free to current Salesforce Maps customers. So what is Salesforce Maps? So Salesforce Maps is an easy-to-use visual mapping technology that allows users to easily click to draw or change routes in their territory. And there are four main features of maps. Data visualization, you can draw routes, drop pins, create visual territories that your users can print and view on their mobile devices. Also take actions like log in calls or record notes directly from the map. These actions can be automated and customized. We have tracking live location, which allows you to keep track of assets in real time. You'll know when a truck has arrived or left a location or traveled outside of the designated route. With territory planning, you can draw color-coded visual maps for your users, which ties perfectly with route optimization to give your users a clear view of their most optimal route within their assigned territories. I'm going to now pass this to Johnny so he can discuss how other companies are using Salesforce Maps and for a hands-on demo.
Are using Salesforce Maps. So for sales-based organizations, Salesforce Maps can help you prioritize site visits. It's also going to help with tasks via internal or external data points, help you optimize your distance traveled, redraw territories based on distance, revenue, or even number of targets. You can track the salesperson's movement and vital equipment in real time and use built-in features to hit your sales goals. For service-based organizations, you can really decrease your response times. You can get the right person for the job by prioritizing status, urgency, technician skill set, or current location. You can schedule tasks, you can do check-ins, check-out, and update information all from the Salesforce Maps console. For disaster relief, you can use the data visualization, create cases, visit site or view site communications, and leverage API connections to make sure your org has all the information you need exactly when you need it. So for retail, this is a new use and a lot of companies are getting into this. You can get out ahead of the changing global retail landscape by adopting the best logistics platform in the industry, and then you can start delivering things like goods, groceries, prescriptions, supplies. You can do scheduling, routing, dispatch, track as many drivers as you need to get your customers taken care of. For remote workers, another big topic right now. With more valuable technology leaving corporate sites than ever before, it's become apparent very quickly that asset location and tracking is going to take a front row seat in most of our policy considerations going forward. With Salesforce Maps, any device capable of telephony can be tracked in real time. Additionally, you can set boundaries to make sure you know where the equipment is and whether it's left an approved location. Last, when it comes to resource planning. So we know efficiency in manufacturing can't be achieved without stabilization of supply lines, and they have gone a little haywire lately. So when a shipment goes wrong or runs late, the results can mean big losses in your scheduling. With Salesforce Maps, you know the second an instability occurs, you can react quickly to reroute resources, dispatch additional assets, or even just reschedule the expected delivery date. So we will go ahead and talk about the COVID layer. So assuming you have Maps installed into your organization, you can actually navigate to installed packages and setup, find Salesforce Maps, and click Configure. Under permission groups, you can actually enable the ArcGIS layer and enable the necessary remote site settings and then you can create that layer via the HTML link. Now, the COVID-19 map can be easily accessed via the Layers tab in the Personal folder, which I'll show you in just a second. And for those who may be interested, I have provided a link to the resource article right there on the screen. Feel free to get in touch with us and we will provide that to you. That's going to provide an amazing step-by-step process for you to follow. I followed this process myself when we originally set everything up. It takes less than 5 minutes, super easy to do. So let's talk a little more about what we're going to do to show you how Maps works. So we have created a real-world use case of Salesforce Maps and the COVID-19 layer. So our scenario is an increase in cases as reported on the COVID-19 map requires scheduled medical supply trucks out of Nashville, Tennessee to be rerouted and split between additional destinations. We're also going to add a custom data layer via territory to track our new routes. So our action plan, first of all, we're going to add an additional stop for truck number 1 in New Orleans after its stop in Orlando. We're going to add an additional stop for truck 2 in Chicago, Illinois on its way to New York City. And we're going to draw that route service territory layer to capture and visualize our data. So let's go ahead and get started. So as you can see, this is the COVID-19 map on Salesforce Maps. Now what it does is it breaks down cases by county and gives you information in a tab. You can click on any of these data points and it'll tell you the county name, the state, and how many confirmed cases they have, which you can see right now in Chicago, they have quite a few. You could also take actions from here, like adding it to your route, using click to create actual data points, or to just set reference points or take a street view. So now that we've seen this, we can see also that we have a few locations here. Now this is actually a separate layer. These are our delivery trucks and locations that our delivery trucks go to. Now, if we remove the COVID-19 layer, we can see just our locations here. Now, we have a couple of things we need to accomplish, right? First of all, we need to take our first route. So we are looking at our delivery truck layer right now, and I've already pulled up the route just to help us out and go a little faster here. So we can see our route going from Nashville to Orlando, and we're going to need to go ahead and add a stop. Now this is actually going to be as simple as going to the actions bar and clicking add to route. So now we have our New Orleans medical here added to the route. And then what we can do is go back to our home location, which is right here. And we can go ahead and add that to our route. So now as you can see, we have updated our route. We can simply click save and it's going to update that route for us. We can go back to the routes, update it, and in just a second it'll reroute, show us a new drive time, and get us the information we need. So let's go on to the second part here. I've already got that pulled up, and here is our medical supply truck number 2. As we can see, it's going to New York. We need to reroute that and have it stop first in Chicago, but as you can see, we don't have a pin yet set for Chicago. Now, we can fix that really quickly. The reason there's no pin is because this is actually going to a field hospital that has been set up in a parking lot. So we're just going to pick this random spot right here, and we're going to go ahead and just drop a pin there. Now, when we drop a pin, it's going to go ahead and ask us to create a record, and we're going to do just that. So here is our Chicago medical location, and we can go ahead and just click finish, and there you go. We've got our new location. So we can go ahead and click that, click to add to route. Now that is in the wrong order for what we need to do, so we're just going to go ahead and move that up into the correct spot there. And then once we've done that, we're just going to go ahead and get our driver back home. All right. And just like that, we have updated our routes, and we can go where we need to and get our supplies where they need to go. Now, last of all, we wanted to go ahead and create those territories. So we can do that as easily as just drawing a polygon here. And we're going to draw that to include our first new territory. Oops. So there is territory number 1. And let's go to territory number 2 here. Sorry about that. There we go. All right, and that's it. We've got 2 territories. Now, if we decide that we need to reassign or do any variety of pieces on this. We can add it to campaigns, update fields, we can change the schedule, change the routes, we can log calls, tasks, whatever we need to do, or just reassign a completely new driver to the route. That goes over our COVID example here. So now that, with that said, we have completed our use case, and we can go back to Michelle for an explanation of how one of our actual clients took Salesforce Maps to the next level.
All right, great. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate that. So let's have a look at a custom solution that our team of developers built on top of Salesforce Maps for a large enterprise company. So as you can see here, this is in conjunction with Service Cloud. So this client, they provide 24-hour roadside service for a large fleet truck line. The calls are answered by a call center agent, or actually a team of call center agents, and those agents find local service dealers. The service dealers also have a contract with the client, and they're measured by the services they provide, as well as how quickly they can dispatch to the fleet drivers to get them back on the road. So the requirement for the call center agent was that when a call comes in from the fleet driver, they need to be able to visually locate them on a map based on the service need, find the closest service dealer with the highest service score, and log that service call in Salesforce and follow that service call to completion. So go ahead to the next slide, please. So you can see that we've nested Salesforce Maps within the case record detail page. We did this as a tab. We used Lightning components to pop the address entry box. And this allows the service agents to stay in Salesforce and to view all of their necessary objects, the case, the account, the contact, as well as the map while on the phone with the fleet driver to record his breakdown location quickly and easily. So thinking about how breakdowns normally occur, so again, these are large 18-wheeler, big fleets. They're going to break down. They could pull into a service station or just anywhere on the interstate, anywhere within the United States. So what we needed to do is we needed to give that service agent the ability to zoom into the map. And this is in real time. So we're on a phone call with the fleet driver, and he is, just trying to describe his location. Sometimes it's by mile marker. Most times it was by mile marker, or it could just be some other landmark. So with maps embedded into Salesforce, we were able to zoom into the map all the way to the mile marker level and drop the pin on the map to identify the exact breakdown location quickly. And you see we also have area in that tab or in that component where they could enter other like notes and breakdown details. And that's not map related, but it's important. So after the breakdown is recorded, a color-coded service dealer list is displayed. And these are ranked in order based on a predefined scoring system powered by an algorithm that our developers created. And obviously that was from the requirements from the client. They wanted certain things, like they weighted it on proximity to the breakdown, some type of historical response rate. How has that service dealer responded in the past? Have they just passed on calls, or do they respond quickly? And also, what services are provided? Do they provide not only like tire repair, but do they do brakes? Do they also do batteries and things of that nature? So this ranking system goes well beyond the basics of Salesforce Maps functionality. And you can see in this map that you can see in this map that, we have, like they said, they're color coded. So the red ones, they're probably red because they're outside of that service area or within, because we had a window. We were trying to get the drivers back on the road within an hour of when the call was brought in. Okay, so once the service dealers were selected and they're dispatched, the call center agent needs to also kind of keep track of what's going on with that call. They have to follow this call from beginning to end. So thinking about how we use Salesforce, the call center agent won't be on the call with the fleet driver the entire time or the service dealer the entire time. So we needed to do some type of notification. So we had a way for some quick actions that just were automated. So when they set that that pin, set there and selected that service dealer, we had a task that would be sent to the call center agent to let them know, hey, check on this service and see how this is doing. Also, we built this functionality within Maps to do these custom actions as well as some native actions. So we can log a call, and we could also text the case details to the service technician. Okay. And that is how we used Maps in a real world scenario with one of our clients. It was actually really successful, and it sped up their call center agent call time considerably. They were able to handle a lot more calls and get their fleet accounts handled very quickly. So some of the upcoming topics that we have are here shown on the screen. Before I do that, though, I want to before we talk about our upcoming things, I want to ask if there are any questions that anyone has. I think we have some time for questions around the COVID layer or anything else to do with Salesforce Maps. Just raise your hand, put a chat in if you want, or here we go. So can we explain more what the benefit is for the COVID layer? Johnny, do you want to take that? Good question.
Sure. So most effectively, the COVID layer is explaining to us how many cases we have by county. Now, if I were making business decisions such as reopening locations, how much exposure I'm risking by maybe having my employees return to a specific site, looking at your county and the surrounding counties and taking into account the case data that is real and accurate is invaluable when helping you make other decisions. Now, for folks managing national companies or international companies, the consideration goes further. So maybe this helps you to consider which regions you're going to be opening first, what kind of travel you're going to be allowing for your organization, that kind of thing. I could see it maybe helping someone to block out travel destinations and things like that, saying, look, the case count here in Chicago is still too high, so we're going to hold off on doing any travel or resuming operations in that area. That's probably the best cases that I can think of right off the top of my head for the COVID layer. It just is a very, very convenient and comfortable way to review the data coming out of Johns Hopkins and also use it to coordinate within Maps your other layers, your other efforts, and your other travel considerations.
We have another question, Johnny. Where are we getting the COVID layer data, and how often is it updated, and how accurate is it?
Sure. So that data is coming directly from the Johns Hopkins API. Now, we're not doing anything, of course, on our side to do that. Salesforce is handling all of that and all of the updating. And I believe the last time I checked, they were doing it several times a day. Like several times, I believe maybe once at least every hour, I was seeing updates. And they also did a graphical update, which you just saw today. So the updating is pretty precise. Now, the data is as up to date as it can be. It's coming directly through the API. There's nothing happening there other than it just presenting directly. Now, as far as getting access to it, all you need, from what I understand, is just a Salesforce Maps copy. You need to have that installed within your org. And if you do not have it, you can reach out to your Salesforce rep and they can provide you with the link to it, or you can just follow the online steps like I said before. But it's a pretty straightforward and easy process and very low load. You can enable or disable the layer at will. And again, it's just good data for that moment to make considerations.
Thanks, Johnny. And another question, would these decisions be more driven by government policy and is there any way to tie this in, this type of information in? I believe the answer to that is no, there isn't a relation to government policy. Do you agree?
Yeah,
how we tie that in?
that is 100% correct. At this time, there is no correlation between local or federal government policy and the cases as displayed. Right now, the only true data points that we are getting through the COVID map layer are case counts, visualization via the color coding system, and just, like I said, location data. There's not a lot.
Let's pop back to the map so we can look at it together, just so we're just looking at it, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So there we go.
Okay.
So as you can see, you know, they've tried to create a way to help folks see where the really bad clusters are and really where they want to keep folks inside or continue abiding by these legal considerations. I think it also really helps folks in government, your governors specifically, to take a look at their states and say, hey, you know, maybe we do need to hold off a bit longer, and maybe not. You know, I mean, while one of our areas that I chose down here, Louisiana, while it might not have quite as many dots that look as severe, it actually turns out that by per capita, they have a huge spike there. So this can help to reroute supplies and just, and like I said, help make decisions as they are needed. So if we scroll in here, it's going to be, like I said, it's just broken down by county, and we're always going to have the same confirmed cases. There is no other data that I have seen. There's no, you know, confirmed fatalities, nothing like that. It's just the case data from what we're seeing right now.
Right. So we don't have a way. And another question was the health requirements and the shelter in place, and if we must wear masks in public or essential employees are allowed to travel. So very good question. No, this really does just show a concentrated area of cases, not necessarily what the orders are from the state.
But I think that's an incredible idea for another layer. So perhaps after this meeting, we will submit that to Salesforce, because I think that would be a generally easy overlay to do. And maybe that's something that could be valuable. I think it would be incredibly valuable to people.
Yeah. And is this tied to Apple or Google COVID tracing efforts? I believe the answer to that would be no. It's just simply using the Johns Hopkins, right?
That is correct. From what I have been able to see on the back end, the only call that I see happening is the Johns Hopkins call, and then the rest of it is executing within your Salesforce org.
Very good questions. Great. Any other questions before we move on to what our next session will be? Perfect. Thank you. So we have call center success coming up. And then after that, we're going to look into Pardot and using that with our marketing cloud. And then the power of Twilio, which is fantastic for use with sales and service. Going to the next slide, look at what we're going to do with the call center. So our next session, the call center success, we're going to look at user interface, some reporting and KPIs, how to use knowledge database and answering questions while on the phone, case routing, and escalation. So that'll be a really good session. I think we may have one more question about the COVID and for tracking, is this in real time? Not the COVID. Sorry about that. So real time tracking for Salesforce Maps.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes. So any type of telephony device that you have registered onto Salesforce Maps can give you real-time feedback. And there are actually tabs to do that. I can actually pull that back up real quick here for you. So if we go up here, you can see, and I'm not going to click over to these. There are no data points in there right now, as this is just a demo. But you can see the different tabs here. We can do advanced routing. We can do live asset daily summaries. And then we can do, of course, Maps Live rules. And now the Maps Live rules and Maps Live events, that's where you're going to say, okay, if somebody leaves this specific area I need to know. I need to be notified. Or you can, choose which devices that you want to track in real time or check up on, and they will provide you exactly where they are at that exact moment. So real time, that is definitely the case, yes.
Thanks, Johnny. Did we answer all your questions? Just want to make sure. Great. I really do appreciate you all for joining today. Tom, did you want to close us off or just?
No, I was just going to say, in the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Jeff, Brian. We'll also be forwarding just a brief survey and asking you which e-gift card you were going to select for lunch today. And any questions, feel free to reach out to Jeff. And we enjoyed having you. Thank you all.
Thanks all. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys. That was great.